Huffman Performance, Jeff Gibson Insurance, Task Construction, Miller Excavation, B&D Waterland, Nitrous Outlet, Go Lithium Batteries, Pat Hobbs Manufactured Homes. Shout out to the Toho Sid Anderson. It's his birthday this weekend. Happy birthday, Sid. So he'll be on the left side, and Ken Jenkins through the fire for Causeway and Marina. He'll be in the Huffman, the Performance HVAC, I apologize, right-hand lane. Robert Anderson, 6'12" with a 1 at 120 miles an hour. But look at Ken Jenkins, goes to the top, 6'02" with a 1, 151.36 miles an hour. Move over Tommy Rice. The points leader just went to the number 1 spot. 0.49 reaction time and a 6'02". Puts Ken Jenkins on top. Robert Anderson, 6'12" with a 1, 120 miles an hour. That's his best run so far of qualifying. And he will be your number 3 qualifier, with, I believe, only one pair of quick eliminator boats to go. Here comes Tommy the Lunchbox Rice and Sambo Smith. Tommy driving the Electro Freeze Special for David Carroll. And also Bruce and Bobby Wicker of Electro Freeze. WCR Construction, David and Deb Carroll, Gary Watson, Chris and Leanne Allen. Tommy will be in the Parker Brothers Roofs left-hand side, and Sambo Smith driving Sucker Punch in the Performance HVAC right-hand lane for Brazz's Feed and Supply. Special thanks to Gary Payne, Tony Scarlatta, GNC Machine, Russell's Body Shop, and Thurman Heating and Air. Number 4 qualifier, Sambo, 6'17" with a 9. And Tommy Rice went 6'03" with a 4 in the first session of qualifying, but Ken Jenkins just went 6'02", 1. So can Tommy go back to the number 1 spot? Oh, well, that's nice. So, yeah, we have to get the ducks out of the way. The ducks decided to land right in front of Sambo Smith. So we got to get our trusty steed, our jet ski, out there to wrangle the ducks. All right, so now that the ducks have been corralled, let's try this again. Tommy Rice in the left, Sambo Smith in the right, all gunning, both gunning for Ken Jenkins, your number one qualifier. And it's a 6:10 with a 9 at 151 miles an hour for Tommy the Lunchbox Rice. Not going to improve and take over the number one spot. Sambo 6:11 with an 8 at 140 miles an hour. He will stay in the number 3 spot. So nice passes for both, but not good enough to knock Ken Jenkins off the top just yet. They still have 2 chances in qualifying tomorrow to take over the number 1 spot. Just not going to happen so far today. As Rick Allen comes up now in his Top Alcohol Hydro. They call Total Chaos out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. Rick Allen, of course, made the pass in Buzzy Bose's Bad Moon Rising boat a while ago. Still don't know. Nobody's told me what happened to that boat, but something funky happened there. Rick Allen decided he wanted to make a test pass in his own boat. All right, so we'll get Rick all situated. Let him blast down the 1,000-foot, hopefully at 200 miles an hour. All right, so Gary Gray gives the signal. Everybody's ready to go. Rick Allen, they're going to see which boat between his boat and Buzzy's boat is going to run the best. And they'll probably make a decision to run either or come Sunday. Rick Allen, Top Alcohol Hydro. Well, that sure was nice. How about Rick Allen, 441.7, 204.58 miles an hour for Rick Allen. That was a great run. 441, 204, 58 for Rick Allen. Hopefully, yep, it looks like he's good and stopped down there. His parachutes were out as soon as he crossed 1,000 foot. That's how you drive into the parachutes, ladies and gentlemen. So Rick Allen actually going to drive that hot rod to the out ramp. Thank you, Rick Allen. You and Marty Logan are the only 2 Top Alcohol Hydros I've ever seen that actually drive that thing to the out ramp. 441, 204 miles an hour for Rick Allen. That was great. Pro Modified to the end ramp, please. Pro Modified to the end ramp. Pro Mod to the end ramp. Top alcohol flat bottoms and top alcohol hydros. Get them warmed up. Top alcohol flats, top alcohol hydro. Get them warmed up. Here comes Nate Stevenson driving the Dominator for Randy Ball. Pro Comp flat bottom. He did not make a pass in the first session of qualifying. I believe they were late getting that thing teched in. Oh, his license pass. I apologize. Nate Stevenson going for his Pro Comp flat bottom license. Now it's Pro Jet. Current number 1 qualifier, Tim Ortiz. Leo Renkeep, the fast one. Coming up in the Parker Brothers Roofing left-hand side. Pattern Engineering, special thanks to Kevin Hanlon and Henry Morris. And Pat Hobbs driving manufacturer's money for Hobbs Motorsports, Hobbs Manufactured Homes, C&D Mechanical, Huffman Performance, Morgan & Son Racing Engines. Pat will be in the Performance HVAC right-hand lane. Pro Jet, here we go. How about 4:03 with a 6, 134 miles an hour for Pat Hobbs. He will stay in the number 2 spot and only slowed down by about 100, so the boat is very, very consistent. And it's very, very fast. Leo goes 4:22.9, 127.88 miles an hour. And I believe that'll be our only 2 Pro Jets. Tim Ortiz elected not to run the second qualifying. Tony Scarlata and Andy Comstock here in Pro Comp Flats. Tony down in 6'10". In the left-hand side, and Andy Comstock driving Whiskey Tango over in the right. A little bit of a scary run for Andy Comstock. Tony Scarlotta goes 6:18.9, 138 miles an hour to go to the number 1 qualifying spot here in Pro Comp Flats. Andy Comstock goes 7:68, 107 miles an hour after a little bit of a scary ride. They're about 50 feet or so after the Christmas tree. But Tony Scarlotta was down 6:10. He goes 6:18.9, 138 for the number 1 spot, knocking Randy Reynolds down to 2. Here comes David Merchant and Larry Skiro. Larry driving flat and nasty. He'll be over in the Performance HVAC right-hand lane, and David Merchant driving flat wicked will be in the Parker Brothers Roofing left-hand lane. 688 the dial for David Merchant, 651 the dial for Larry Skiro. .680 with a 2, 130 miles an hour for Larry Skiro. Not going to improve. He will stay in the number 6 spot. David Merchant, 034. He goes 7037, 121 miles an hour on his 688 dial. He will stay in the number 3 spot here in Pro Com Flats. A nice reaction time at 034 light for David Merchant. Larry Skiro, 171 on the bulb. About 0.3 of a second slower than the dial. 0.2 of a second slower for David Merchant. Well, the weather is really throwing a kink in a lot of tune-ups and a lot of these hot rods today. Not the best air conditions out there, that's for sure. So Milton Tolan and Randy Reynolds now. Milton in the left side, dialed 645, Jacksonville, Florida. And Randy Reynolds driving its only money. The Performance HVAC right-hand side, dialed 640. Milton Tolan, 669.2, 130.31 miles an hour for the number 4 spot. But Randy Reynolds goes back to the number 1 spot, 644. at 130.54 miles an hour on a 640 dial in. He went right back over Tony Scarlatta for the number 1 spot. So here comes GW Golf and Dylan Crown over. GW 677 with a 5 on a 685 dial, 122 miles an hour. And Dylan Crown over with an 094 reaction time. He goes 677, 124 miles an hour on a 640 dial. So he will stay in the number 7 qualifying spot, and GW Golf will stay 5th. And still number 1, Randy Reynolds, with that amazing pass of 644. And that'll be the end of Pro Comp Flats, and here comes Pro Outlaw. All right, so listen up. If you got a text message from the SDBA that said to warm up, please ignore it. It was an accident. Do not warm up anything just yet. Unless I call you and tell you to warm up, do not warm up. All right, so our first pair of Pro Outlaws is going to be Cody Childress and Rick Blethroad. Cody, the Parker Brothers Roofing, left-hand side out of Nemo, Texas, driving Bad Influence. For Nesloni Racing, Travis Tuttle, Brad Anderson Enterprises, Linco Transmission, RBS Superchargers. Special thanks to Travis Tuttle, Mama Judy, Robin Reed, Dustin Nesloni, and his beautiful wife Kendra, and the boys, Bentley, Braxton, and Brady. He went 479 the first lap on a brand new, well, it's not really a brand new hot rod. It is the same boat that Travis Tuttle was racing Top Alcohol Hydro with last year. Last time it saw the water was at this race last year as well. They hung it up in the ceiling of Travis Tuttle's race shop, and then when Dustin Nesloni decided that he wanted to go ahead and sell the Pro Outlaw boat that Cody has been racing this year, Cody was like, well, you know what? I'll take the old Travis Tuttle boat out of the ceiling, put a brand new wrap on it, and keep going. And Rick Blethroad driving the wild thing in the Performance HVAC, right-hand side out of Odessa, Texas for Alliance Machine. AAA RV, Lone Star Gasket, Full Throttle Racing Collectibles. He did not make it down the racetrack in the first session of qualifying. And Cody Childress, 493.3, 187.47 miles an hour for Cody Childress. Rick Blethroad goes 537.3, 177.98 miles an hour. Lots of big end speed from Rick Blethroad with those big turbos. But Cody Childress, they slowed it down a little bit, but it still wasn't slowed down enough. 493.3, 187.47 miles an hour for Cody Childress. And they missed it by a couple of tenths of a second. So Teresa Ward and Eric DeMent now. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, the name of the boat for Teresa Ward. She'll be on the left-hand side, the Parker Brothers Roofing. Left side of the racetrack. And Eric DeMent driving the real bad boy out of Luling, Texas for Performance HVAC. In the right-hand side, in the Performance HVAC lane. Also for United Rental, J.O. Great Construction, Lilly Construction, Great Western Corporation, Parker Brothers Roofing, and the crew of Perch, Victor, Gary Gray, Anita, Brandon, Kaysen, Logan, and Bass, and his beautiful wife, Heather. So Eric went 5:38 first qualifying session. usually they have trouble slowing that boat down, not speeding it up. So I guarantee you that Perch went back there, probably put another pulley on the supercharger, probably, threw a little bit more timing to it or something like that. And it should go closer to that 520 number right here. And if it doesn't, I'll be very surprised. All right, so listen up. We're a little bit short-staffed today because, of course, school has started and it is Friday. So a lot of our ramp helpers aren't there. So if you would like to go volunteer to help Terry at the out ramp, please, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it if we could get some help down at the out ramp for Terry. The rope loads up a lot quicker than she can get them loaded onto the trailers down there by herself. So if anybody is willing to help, please go down to the out ramp and help Terry, and we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So Teresa Ward, this will be her first hit at the racetrack today. And Eric DeMint in the right lane. Trying to speed that hot rod up just a little bit. 10 seconds to countdown. Couple of nice looking passes. How about a 5:32.7 at 170 miles an hour for Teresa Ward? That'll put her in the number 2 qualifying spot. But look at Eric DeMint. When I said it was going to speed up, I figured it would speed up, 5:25 or something. How about a 5:13, 177 miles an hour for Eric DeMint? Hey, Perch, you made the right step, buddy, but it was a leap. That wasn't a step. That was amazing. 5:13, 177 for Eric DeMint. Teresa Ward, a nice pass for her. First pass down the racetrack today, 5:32, 170 miles an hour. She'll go to the number 2 spot. Eric DeMint to the number 4 spot, right below Rick Blethroad, right above Cody Childress. And our final Pro Outlaw of the second qualifying session is going to be Bill Wire, driving Alcoholic Behavior. He was a winner of this race in 2020. Has been runner-up at Waco and Paris this year. He's had lots of success since grabbing his first win here at the Hunter Showdown last year. He's also driving for some of his sponsors that include Clint's Concrete Works, Lone Star Induction, RH Marine, Security Trust, State Bank and Trust, Hill Insurance, Jackson Electric, Texcon Fuel, Black Wolf Landscape, Bayside Buggies, BCMT Trucking, BW Construction Company, Truck Country Outfitters, and Collision Express. Bill Wire, your current number 1 qualifier at 5:27.7. So as soon as we get the go-ahead, as soon as we get Eric out of the way down there at the top end of the track, we will shoot Bill Wire down the racetrack. Once again, if you are willing to lend a helping hand, Terry down at the out ramp could use some help in a bad, bad way. So if you're bored, don't have anything to do, Terry could really use some help down there. So I was told to give everybody a reminder. The speed limit in the pits and in the RV park is 5 miles an hour. 5 mile an hour speed limit in the pits and in the RV park. So if you're operating a motor vehicle, please remember 5 miles an hour in the pits and over in the RV park. That is all around the park here at El Reno. So just be mindful, be respectful of everybody, please. And 5 miles an hour. We don't want anybody getting hurt out there, that's for sure. All right, so here in just a few minutes, we should be good to go. And we'll send Bill Wire. Top alcohol flat bottoms. Top alcohol flats. Need you to the end ramp, please. Top alcohol flats to the end ramp. Alcohol flat bottoms to the end ramp, please. All right, so 15 seconds to count down for Bill Wire. Looking to improve that 5:27.7. Oh, well then, Bill Wire. I don't know if there's any burst panels left in that supercharger, or if there's even a prop left on that hot rod, but that hurt me, and I don't pay a penny on that boat or anything, but I'm hurt. That just hurts your feelings when something like that happens. Good news is he's still the number one qualifier in Pro Outlaw after the first day of qualifying here at the Hunters Showdown. Bad news is that the hot rod might be hurt. Bill Wire's trailer back to the end ramp, please. Listen up, we need Bill Wire's trailer back to the end ramp. First pair of Pro Modified, Daryl Mad Max Ehrlich driving for Papa Doug Mater. The boat out of reach. He'll be on the left-hand side out of Round Rock, Texas. And Brian Miller driving Joker's Wild, that small block, twin turbo LS powered, Pro Modified high rod in the right side. Your number 3 qualifier and your number 5 qualifier. Here we go. Mad Max goes 5.72.0, 161 miles an hour for Daryl Ehrlich. He's going to move up 1 position to the number 4 spot. Brian Miller not going to improve, not going to move up in qualifying. 6.13.1, only 110.49 miles an hour for Brian Miller. He will stay 3rd in qualifying. Tim Ortiz sitting at the top with a 5.62 from the first session. Going to bring up Robin Reed. And I believe Lee Warren possibly. Yep. Robin Reed and Lee Warren. Robin driving wound too tight over here in the Parker Brothers Roofing left-hand side out of Arlington, Texas. For Two Guys Marine out of Del Rio. Texas Outrigger Boats, CCR Fiberglass and Marine. NGK Spark Plugs, Fun and Sun Boats and Tackle, and Trinity Racing Ministries. He went 5.78, the opening stanza qualifying. And Lee Warren driving Say Win will be in the Performance HVAC. Right-hand side for Matco Tools, Stephen Leslie Pruitt. Scott and Beth Douglas, KPE Racing, Daryl and Doris Bledsoe, Brian Jones and Company, Swan Pipelines, and Megan's mom and dad. Well, Lee Warren already won one race here in 2021. Took home the Pro Modified win in Waco, Texas, just a couple of races ago. Lee Warren and Robin Reed. "15 seconds to countdown. How about a 5.54 with a 164 miles an hour for Robin Reed. Missed it by just that much. Lee Warren was 060 on the tree, goes 5.81.5, 147.10 miles an hour for Lee Warren. He will stay number 7. Robin Reed will stay number 6. But they got the hot rod sped up for the worst air. For Robin Reed, just got to, fine-tune it from there. A nice pass on both sides of the racetrack. Lee Warren not as fast as they would want. Still got to figure out how to speed that thing up just a smidge. And that's going to bring up Sean Reed and Kevin Helm. Next two up to the starting line. Sean driving a boat they call Top Secret. He's your number 2 qualifier right now with a 5.71 out of Puyallup, Washington. And Kevin Helm playing the home game out of just down the road in Moore, Oklahoma. Driving the Woody. Kevin Helm has raced Pro Mod in the past, few years, but the boat itself hasn't raced in quite a few years. And Kevin was excited to have it back out, and I promise you, if you have not seen this thing up close and personal, you are missing something out. It is an amazing, amazing looking boat. And it's a whole lot of fun to watch, and Kevin Helm is one heck of a driver. Sean Reed, not too bad himself. Sean said, I have one reason for being here, and that's just to ruin everybody's day that's up there in the points. Because that's just the kind of guy that Sean Reed is. I didn't say he wasn't a nice guy, but he's just that competitive. He likes to mess with people every now and then. Hopefully Sean will be here all season next season running Pro Modified with us. That way we can be talking about him being up there in the points battle. I believe this is the most wide open championship fight that we have in the Southern Drag Boat Association is in Pro Modified. There are more drivers with a mathematical chance of winning the championship in Pro Mod than any other class in the entire series. I believe there are 5 different drivers with mathematical possibilities of winning the championship before they leave El Reno, Oklahoma. Daryl Mad Max Ehrlich is in the number 1 spot by only 6 points. So here we go with Sean Reed and Kevin Helm. Kevin only went 6:16 in the opening round of qualifying. Looking to improve. Sean Reed, 5:71. He is currently number 2 on the sheet. .570 with a 2, 163 miles an hour for Sean Reed. Not going to be better than Tim Ortiz's run from earlier. Kevin Helm, 675, only 133 miles an hour for Kevin. Still going to stay in the number 10 spot. Sean Reed, a nice run, steady improving. 570 with a 2, 163 and a half for Sean Reed. And see, that's what I'm talking about. The professionalism, the competition, and everything is what makes Sean Reed such a special guy. He just drove that boat to the out ramp, too. Next pair of Pro Mod, Tim Ortiz and Steve Walls. Tim, the Parker Brothers Roofing, left-hand lane. Driving empty pockets for Pat Kinsey out of Conroe, Texas. For Pat Kinsey Drywall, Race Engine Development. Thanks to Rhonda for allowing him to continue to race. Special thanks to Doug Ivey, Archie Nelson, and Kevin Cook. And that boat is for sale, ladies and gentlemen. The empty pockets boat for sale. And Steve Walls driving Hydro Commando out of San Angelo, Texas. Fastline Fabrication, FPC Services. Walls Tractor Repair, James Judy Sheffield, Buddy E.S. Johnson, Extreme Barbecue, William Pitchford, Joe Yarborough, Palmetto Distillery, and thanks to the entire crew who we're missing a few members of. Here we go, the number 1 and the number 9 qualifiers. How about Tim Ortiz, 562 with an 8, 161 miles an hour. And Pat Kinsey goes, ha, ha, ha. 665.7 at only 94 miles an hour for Steve Walls. But Tim Ortiz, a 562 and then a 562. Pat Kinsey, I don't know what you're doing to that thing, but whatever it is, you need to keep doing it, brother. That is amazing. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the boat is for sale, turnkey, ready to go. Just like that. Tim Ortiz going to drive his hot rod to the out ramp. Unfortunately, Steve Walls, that boat started hunting toward the center of the racetrack, and Steve tried to bring it back, even got his foot off the throttle, but it either was not quick enough or the boat just was not going back over to the right. Therefore, it has knocked down a couple of the center sensors down there, so we're going to have to go and replace those. Down for just a few minutes. While we're doing that, be sure to go visit Drag Boat Review. Go grab yourself something to eat from some of our food vendors. Get you an event t-shirt from the Hunters Showdown. They look absolutely fantastic. It's one that you're going to want to have for a long, long time. So go down there and get those. Those are right down there at the VIP tent. And we will be right back here in just a few minutes. Huge thank you to some of our marketing partners that made the entire 2021 season a possibility. Providence Realty, Liberty Homes, Electro Freeze, Racers, what am I trying to say? RESP, Racers Emergency Support Program, that's what it is. And WCR Construction, and all of those amazing companies that have made this thing possible. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with a continuation of Pro Mod Q2. Emily Smith. Emily Smith, call registration. All right, so I believe the sensors are fixed and we are ready to go. So our next pair of Pro Modified is going to be Greg Lampard and Mickey Snyder. Greg driving anger management out of Comfort, Texas. For Ford of Bernie, Cocky Rooster Bar, Jeff Rowe Custom Silk Screening, Ted Basil of Mac Tools, Bernie Web Design. Special thanks to Randy Benson for the help. And thanks to Rodney and Pamela Piper for the support. He'll be in the Parker Brothers Roofing left side of the track, and Mickey Snyder driving Top Gun in the Performance HVAC right-hand side out of Rio Medina, Texas. For Rio Medina Truck and Auto, Rio Fab and Welding, Lilly Construction, Custom Powder Coating, Four-Way Bar, Damon Decker, 212 Athletics, Jeff Gibson Insurance, Racers Insuring Racers, Yield Mortgage, Reagan and Angie Everett, Rowdy Tees, and RNS Construction. Mickey Snyder went 573 in the opening round of qualifying for the number 5 spot. Greg Lampard too quick at 557.4. And that put him all the way down at 11th. There are 13 Pro Modified boats registered to race here in El Reno. Greg Lampard has been number 1 qualifier, has won races this year in Pro Modified, and is right in there in the thick of things when it comes to the points. After sinking that boat in San Angelo, they weren't sure if they were going to be able to make it. Well, and by the time Waco, Texas came back around with the help of his amazing sponsors that I just named, they were able to come back and continue fighting for that championship. Gary Gray gives a sign to go yellow. They'll fire the hot rods up, and let's continue qualifying session number 2 in Pro Modified. How about a 588 with a 7, 147 miles an hour for Mickey Snyder. Greg Lampard, 006 on the tree, 576.7, 161 miles an hour for Greg. So he does improve. He will go all the way up to the number 6 qualifying position. Mickey Snyder will stay in the number 5 spot. This 573 from earlier, only mustering a 588 with a 7, 147 miles an hour. So Mallory Carroll will be making a single. Driving a little more therapy out of Burnett, Texas. Parker Brothers Roofing, left side of the racetrack. For WCR Construction, Electro Freeza, Texas, RFC, RESP. Special thanks to Gary Watson, Mom and Dad, and Todd and Ella Haas. She went 584. Opening round of qualifying, she was out of the throttle right past the 8th mile. Top Alcohol Hydro to the in-ramp, please. Top Alcohol Hydro to the in-ramp. Alcohol Hydro qualifying session number 2 to the in-ramp, please. As Mallory gets ready, she will give starter Gary Gray the thumbs up of approval. And we'll see if she can better that 584. And density altitude that is sitting right now at about 5,000 feet above sea level. When that happens, it's very hard, even for these supercharged hot rods, to make power. So what they'll have to do is actually go put a smaller blower pulley on it, let the blower spin a little faster, create a little bit more boost in order to speed that boat up a little bit. hype it up and get it closer to that 560. And get Mallory Carroll off that number 9 qualifying position. That's a very compromising spot to be in. Down there toward the bottom of the sheet. All right, yellow signal given. Mallory Carroll firing that beast up. Looking for better than a 584 to move her up in the qualifying sheet. Number 1 qualifier, Tim Ortiz at 562. How about that, driving into those chutes like a pro? A 562.9, 162 miles an hour for Mallory Carroll. That'll put her in the number 2 qualifying spot, right behind Tim Ortiz. 562.9, 162.95 miles an hour, and she drove into the chutes just like her daddy told her, like a professional. That was beautiful from start to finish. 562. Only missed the number 1 spot by 9 thousandths of a second. Good job, Gary Watson, and that entire team. That was an awesome run. Now I believe there are 2 more pro-modified boats. And then we'll go into top alcohol flats. Ron Chevrolet driving Jimmy Parsons' Domestic Disturbance. For Blue Line Patriot Heating and Air, Steve's Pools, Woodman's Equipment, and Diesel Machine Shop. Special thanks to Todd Haas, Danny Day, Bob Ginther, and the crew. Ron Chevrolet hasn't driven a Pro Mod boat in a long, long time. I do believe the last time, I think he said this actually, the last time he drove a Pro Mod boat, they were still a 7-second index quarter-mile class. All right, so here we go. Ron Chevrolet. Second pass in the boat in a long, long time. Pulls the capsule down. Let's do it. Shut it off right before the finish line. So trying out that brand spanking new Pro Outlaw boat is Steve Carter. Money for nothing. I like that. I like the name of that. Sponsored by Carter Paint and Body, Gumby Performance, Wolf Auto Machine, MTR Performance, PPG, Mickey's Toy Box, Bespoke Coatings, IMP, and special thanks to Randy Ball for all the help in getting the hot rod put back together. Brand spanking new. And Steve Carter looking for 5.20. So he wasn't able to make the first session of qualifying. He was a little bit late getting to the second session, but you know what? We're going to run him. Steve Carter be our fifth man in Pro Outlaw. Get himself on the board. All right, here we go. And he clicked it off a little bit early, but for the first time, I say it wasn't too bad. 599.3, 137.01 miles per hour, with an 089 reaction time for Steve Carter. I'll put him in the number 5 spot. That puts Cody Childress down in 6th with his 493 from earlier. Steve Carter, nice run. 599, 137, and he clicked it off right about the 8th mile, just a little bit past. But the first pass on a brand new boat for Steve Carter, and that goes about as smooth as you would hope. And now it'll be Top Alcohol Flat Bottoms coming up to the starting line. Our first Top Alcohol Flat is going to be Dan Kirkman, driving the Awesome Toy, the Performance HVAC right-hand side for David Kirkland Racing. Bennett Analysis, or Analytics, I apologize. Bennett Analytics, thanks to the crew of David Kirkland, Jeff Bennett, Jeff Green, Bob Toll, Jay and Cheryl Hardgraves, and Jennifer McGowan. Your number 2 qualifier right now at 5:59. That is the Top Alcohol Flat Jet Boat, the only one in category. It's not the traditional Top Alcohol Flat, but it's fast. Ten seconds left on the countdown clock for Dan Kirkman. Oh, and it popped the burst panel down there right at the finish line. But he has stopped, slowed down, and stopped down there. Good to go. How about a 5:29 with a 1? 156.87 miles an hour. Your new number 1 qualifier, Dan Kirkman, but it might have cost him a couple of burst panels, which isn't such a big deal, but and sometimes whenever it pops like that, it does a lot more damage than just blowing the burst panels out. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. But Dan Kirkman, 5:29.1 at 156.87 miles an hour, and that thing popped big time down there. All right, here we go with top alcohol flats. Bill Miller and Marcus Kinsey. Bill, the party to the max. Top alcohol flat owned by Max Davis is going to be in the Parker Brothers Roofing left side. Bill coming to us out of Taylor, Texas for Max Heavy Haul, More Trucking, Elite Products, Rapid Photos, Texas Automotive Equipment, Robin Banks, CP Carrillo Rods and Pistons, The Blower Shop of Boise, Idaho, Monty's Compressors, and the crew chief of Terry Moore, Joe Davis, Dwayne Gilbert, and Mark the Wire God, who is in the hospital right now battling COVID and pneumonia. So all of our prayers and well wishes going to Mark the Wire God as he fights through COVID-19. And Marcus Kinsey, the Performance HVAC right-hand side, driving Bad Company out of Marble Falls, Texas for J&M Kinsey Plumbing. Special thanks to Tony Scarlatta for all of the help. Your current number 3 qualifier, Marcus Kinsey, with a 6:14 and a 6:52 was the best for Bill Miller. He sits 4th. Number 1 qualifier, Dan Kirkman, who just went down at 5:29, which is just absolutely insane. All right, so here we go. Bill Miller and Marcus Kinsey. Bill Miller on the left, Marcus on the right. .655, I apologize, 133 miles an hour for Bill Miller. Marcus Kinsey goes 6:16.8 at 135.14 miles an hour. Not going to improve for either one of them. Running just a few hundredths of a second slower than what they did in the first qualifying session. So both of them will stay number 4 and at number 3 respectively. Nobody so far touching Dan Kirkman and his 5:29, which was an absolutely outstanding pass. As our next pair up is going to be Bill Diaz and Tony Scarlatta. So Bill Diaz driving the War Party Ride Zone. This is going to be in the Parker Brothers Roofing. Left side out of Bullhead City, Arizona for Bill Diaz. Team out of Brownwood, Texas. For Maniac Racing, Infamous Brewing, the Campbell family, Brady Truck Service, RB Props, Robin Banks, Drag Boat Review, and JJ Marley Ranch. Bill going to be on the left side, and Tony Scarlatta driving Matt Brown's Shazam. That's a mouthful tongue twister there. He'll be in the Performance HVAC right lane out of Locust Grove, Oklahoma. How about a 5:30 at 169.20 miles an hour for Tony Scarlatta? Bill Diaz goes 573, 146 miles an hour. That'll put him in the number 3 spot. Tony Scarlatta will go to number 2 with a 5:30, 169.20 miles an hour. Huge booming speed out of that Matt Brown-owned Shazam Hot Rod, driven by Tony Scarlatta, and he missed the number 1 qualifying spot by 100th of a second. So Bill Diaz gets a number up on the scoreboard, 573, 146. So now it's time for Top Alcohol Hydro. I do believe the only boat that's going to participate in qualifying session number 2 for Top Alcohol Hydro is Marty Logan. Of course, he had issues not being able to get the boat to start on the hold rope in the first session of qualifying. But back to try it again. He's going to be in the Performance HVAC right lane. And the boat living the dream. Marty coming to us out of Midlothian, Texas. For House of Color Motorsports, Lucas Oil, Protect the Harvest, Turnkey Speed Shop, FPC Services, James Brown, Judy Sheffield, Ellis County Barbecue, Dennis DeWeird, MTR Performance, NW Radio, TD's Transmission, Chris Kyle Frog Foundation, Texas Outrigger Boats, CCR Fiberglass, Marine Dynamics, Gulby Performance, Stevie Jackson Race Cars, Michael Ferg Golf Exhibitions, Dean Wingard Photo, MartyLogan.com, RFC, and RESP on board the machine for Marty Logan. As he will try to lay down a pass. Remember, Rick Allen earlier went 440 at 204 miles an hour. Marty Logan been as fast as 207 miles an hour in Wheatland, Missouri here just a couple of months ago. Do we have the air to do it right now? I don't believe so. But Marty Logan has surprised me before, and he can certainly do it again. Well, it
wanted to hop on him, but he drove right on through it. How about 4:58 with a 6? 194.95 miles an hour for Marty Logan. And he fought through that thing. Like I said, it wanted to really hop on him, and then it started to settle down, and he kept his foot in it and kept it straight down the racetrack. 4:58.6, 194.95 miles an hour, and that'll put him number 2 on the sheet. Rick Allen, number 1 with his 4:41. Rick Allen also number 3, and Marty Logan number 2. All right, so listen up, racers. Listen up, open boat racers. This is the deal. So, since we are done with qualifying session number 2, what we are going to do is we're going to do a test and tune for an hour. We're going to set aside an hour for test and tune. It's going to be $20. It's going to be slow to fast, and that's everybody from PWC to Quick Eliminator and Pro Comp Flats will be a part of it as well. If you want to test and tune, we will call you by class. Bring $20 to the end ramp with you. And we're going to start out with personal watercraft. So personal watercraft, I need you to the ramp. Stock eliminator, be warming them up. Modified eliminator, be on standby and be warming them up as well. So that is the end of qualifying here at the first day of the Hunters Showdown in El Reno, Oklahoma. Everybody watching along on RacerH2O.com, we're going to let you guys go. And that is the end of action here in El Reno. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. I believe we will start around 8 o'clock in the morning. I believe is the target time. So we will see you tomorrow from the final race of the 2021 season for the Southern Drag Boat Association. Good night, and God bless you, Racer H2O.